So Mick Corrigan here from Action Coach, and today I've got with me Scott Bradley, and Scott is the co-founder of Northern Heart Films, and we're going to talk a bit about Northern Heart Films. So welcome, Scott.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Well, go on, kick off and tell us a bit about Northern Heart Films. What do you do?
Yeah, so Northern Art Films, we work across commercials, we work across branded content, we work across broadcast and streaming, and sort of our focus really is sort of very authentic storytelling. I think like earlier you used the word like earthly stories, like very earthy stories, and I think that's a good way of describing it. Um, we really do champion the sort of the lived experiences of everyday people really, and that's kind of our focus. So whether we're working in commercials or whether we're working in sort of more traditional storytelling, it's always that focus. And we've been in business for about 8 years now. And year by year, we keep growing, and yeah, it's an exciting future.
I believe you've had a particularly good last 12 months. Tell us about the last 12 months. How's that been for you?
Yeah, it's really been really exciting. 12 months. We've beginning of the year, we were selected to be part of the BBC Small Indie Fund, and we were only one of four Northwest companies to be given that. And I might be wrong here, but I think that we're probably like the smallest company that the BBC has ever supported. So that's like just for us to have that sort of status is amazing. And what essentially the BBC Small Indie Fund does is it provides a little bit of investment into the company, and then it allows us to pitch ideas directly to a commissioner at the BBC for 12 months. So that allows us to build a relationship with the BBC for 12 months, which is huge for a company like us.
And when did that start, Scott?
That started at the beginning of the year, so we're kind of coming towards the tail end of it now. We've got a few projects in development with them, so hopefully, sort of like at the other side of the new year, we'll have a few potential projects kind of like ready to go for the BBC, which is exciting.
Fantastic, yeah. And apart from the BBC, who else are you working on behalf of?
Historic England, we work with Historic England. We've worked with Blackman Rovers. We've done a bit of work with the Mirror, the Guardian. We've recent. I can't believe I've just forgot this, but Richard Ashcroft. We made a film with Richard Ashcroft earlier in the summer, which was huge because I mean, like growing up, like I listened to the Verve all the time, going to school, and to meet him and work with him was a huge privilege. It was brilliant because we're based in Wigan at the minute, so he's from Wigan. So he had a big sort of like homecoming gig, and he wanted like a big sort of showpiece film to put on stage before he comes out. So he kind of asked us to do that, and yeah, I think it was about 25,000 people over 2 days in that venue. And they absolutely like loved the film we made because it was less about Richard Ashcroft and more about like Wigan and the people of Wigan, and I think that just really resonated with his crowd.
Brilliant. Getting back to that earthy and
Yeah,
authentic stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
brilliant.
exactly.
Great. And what would you say attracts people to Northern Heart Films? What is it that differentiates you from other options that might be out there, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's because you know we do really care about like the people we make the films about. We're quite a small team really. Like the core team is just myself and my business partner Natasha. But we do scale up and scale down depending on projects. But we deliberately try to keep quite small so we can build up like really authentic relationships and intimate relationships with the people we're making films with. And we do spend time building those relationships, and I just think it makes for a much more like authentic, real, honest story. And I think that's what on the other on like the user end, the people watching it, the audience, the people watching it on social media, they immediately feel that sort of like deeper, authentic connection, and
Mm.
it isn't just like a flashy little video that you forget about after you've watched it. It's something that really does stir the emotions, and I think that's something that we really do focus on.
Yeah, that massively important. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. You mentioned Natasha there. She's just won a special award as well, isn't she?
yeah. So I think it was just last week actually. She was in Manchester and she won the creative professional of the year award at the Manchester Young Talent Awards. which is great. She was nominated. I don't actually personally, I don't know who nominated her. So whoever did that, thank you. You know, and she was nominated for 2 awards, and she won that one, which is yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
Fantastic achievement. Yeah, well done. So what does the future look like, Scott?
good, good, very good, really exciting. It's, you know, we've like mentioned earlier, it's like we've been in business for 8 years, but I still feel like we just started, you know, because it's like there's so many opportunities just presenting themselves all the time. And sort of moving forward, we're kind of splitting the company up into sort of 3 strands at the minute. So we're like focusing, one strand is sort of focusing on the corporate commercial. But then the other strand is like we're focusing on original stories. So that's stuff, that ideas we're developing ourselves. So that could be for broadcasters, that could be for independent film. And then our third strand is actually a development scheme. We call it the Northern Heart Doc Fund. And what we do every year is we support Northwest filmmakers with a little bit of mentorship, a little bit of cash to support them make a film. And we really want to sort of develop that as well, because the Northwest traditionally kind of gets very much like ignored by sort of like our industry. Like the film and TV industry kind of forgets about like the Northwest, Cumbria, Lancashire. You know, it kind of doesn't exist in their eyes. So we sort of feel like we want to sort of challenge that and support Northwest filmmakers.
Flying the flag for the Northwest,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
So lots of opportunities. What about challenges ahead?
Um, Definitely there's some big challenges. I think one of the challenges is that there's been a huge sort of like downturn in commissioning from film and TV. So like broadcasters and film funders. I think because of I think maybe because like there's been a huge overspend during COVID when everybody was at home watching stuff. I think there's been a lot of investment in film and programs, and now we're not doing that. You know, we're not watching as much. I think I think they're trying to kind of like reduce the spend, so there isn't as much opportunity to get stuff off the ground. So what they're sort of saying is like high end TV stuff is kind of okay, the small, tiny, small stuff is okay, but kind of like that middle ground, like he's all kind of gone at the minute. And there's a lot of people out of work, and you know, there's a lot of companies going bust. Um, so yeah, that's definitely a challenge. But I think what's kind of helping us is that we've always had that one foot in sort of the commercial branded stuff, and then we've always had one foot in broadcast. So I think, you know, we've not been too reliant on just one particular funding stream. So we're able to kind of navigate that a bit. Um, but yeah, I do think that poses a challenge for us in terms of growing. And then also like just oversaturation as well. Like I think because everybody can say that they're filmmaking now because of the cameras on the phone, and so I think there's just a bit of an oversaturation of stuff that's coming out. Um, so we kind of really just need to step up our game to make sure we're standing out.
Yeah, well, you're standing out right now, so keep that going, that's for sure. And what would you say have been the learnings along the way for you?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think when we first started out, I'd only really been working in industry for about a year because, you know, I kind of like left uni and I was like, I want to direct, I want to make my own stuff. I don't really want to kind of be a runner and become a production assistant and all that kind of stuff. And like I can make films now, so let's just do it. So when we started running Northern Art Films like as a service, we hadn't realized that actually coming up with the ideas, like the concept development, like we hadn't realized that that was like quite a unique service. So we were kind of just doing it, you know. So we get a brief and then we'd really sort of develop it with a client. We weren't really sort of aware that we were providing like a very valuable service. We just thought it was just part of making films. So I think like, you know, as we've kind of grown, we've understood like where our value is and what we're really good at, and being able to maybe articulate that a little bit better in sort of, you know, like when we're building these new relationships with clients, and we're not just giving away sort of our value.
Yeah, and getting back to that question about what differentiates you, that's probably one of the key things also.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, Natasha essentially is like our creative director, and she absolutely loves getting hold of a brief and then really opening a dialogue with a client and really exploring and you know, developing ideas. It's a big sort of like strength of ours, really.
Fantastic. And you've been the business has been going for 8 years, and I guess you've had trials and tribulations along the
Yeah,
way.
absolutely.
Hypothetically, if you could turn the clock back, what might you do? What might you have done differently?
Um, yeah, it's a tricky one, is that because I sort of feel like everything we've done so far has led us to where we are, and I feel like we're in a really like good place. We could be maybe further along, maybe, but like what we've got is I'm really proud of, and I just think like if I'd changed too much in the past, like we might not be here, you know. I don't know, so I don't really think back and think, oh, we should have done that, we should have done that, you know, because I'm happy where we are now. But yeah, I think it's just maybe more having. If I could go back and tell myself, it'd just be like just have more confidence in like what the work that we're doing. You know that yeah, we're a small company from Blackburn and Darwin. You know, but actually like what the work we're producing is, you know, it's top quality. You know, and like have that confidence to say that. I think that would probably be the thing that I'd say to my like past self.
Back yourself, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, back yourself more. Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. Scott, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. I'm sure you're going to go on to even greater things.
Cheers. Thank you very much.